Chapter 10. The Entry into the City. Then the Bhagavan said to the youth Chandraprabha, "Therefore, young man, you should be someone who makes practice essential, and always trains in that way." "Why is that?" "Young man, Bodhisattva Mahasattvas who make practice essential will not even find it difficult to attain the highest complete enlightenment of perfect Buddhahood, not to mention attaining this Samadhi." Then the youth Chandraprabha arose from his seat, removed his robe from one shoulder, and, kneeling on his right knee, with palms pressed together, bowed toward the Bhagavan and exclaimed, "Bhagavan, that teaching and instruction that the Bhagavans have taught well, presented well, and explained well to the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, the entire Bodhisattva training that they have explained well and presented well, is marvelous. Bhagavan, this is the scope of activity of the Tathagatas, not of the Sravakas or Pratyeka Buddhas, let alone the Tirthakas. Bhagavan, I too will make practice essential, and without care for life or body I shall train as the Tathagatas have. Why is that? Bhagavan, I wish to train as the Tathagatas have. Bhagavan, I wish to attain the highest complete enlightenment of perfect Buddhahood. Bhagavan, I wish to eliminate the evil Maras. Bhagavan, I wish to free all beings from all fear and all suffering. I pray that the Bhagavan will place his right hand upon my head." He said to the Bhagavan, "You have an excellent body, like a clear sky. You are the son of wisdom, who has no body or attributes. You are a deep ocean of qualities, and have compassion. You are without equal. Place your hand upon my head." The Bhagavan placed upon Chandraprabha's head his right hand, which was adorned with many characteristics that were the result of many roots of merit, and which was the color of divine gold. As soon as the Bhagavan placed his right hand upon Chandraprabha's head, in that very instant, more indescribable than indescribably many 100,000 quintillions of Samadhi entrance-ways that arise from the perfection of wisdom were revealed to Chandraprabha, such as the heroic, the treasury of space, the Vajra-like, the speed of the mind, the revealing of all forms, the ultimate absence of obscurations, the revealing of all Tathagatas, the consecration of all emptiness, and so on. Many entrance-ways to Dharanis and liberations were revealed. He attained the knowledge of the joy and happiness that is described by the noble ones, of the countless vast number of beings in the Deva realms, and the scope of experience of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It was said, the Bhagavan placed upon the head of the youth Chandraprabha the hand that for many millions of aeons gave away jewels, which was beautified by being webbed and had the markings of a vase and hook, a knot of eternity, a wheel, a victory banner, a flag, and fishes. Then Chandraprabha, full of joy and happiness and the knowledge of the countless vast number of beings in the Deva realms and the scope of experience of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, rose from his seat, removed his robe from one shoulder, and, kneeling on his right knee, with palms placed together, he bowed toward the Bhagavan, and recited these appropriate verses of praise. "I pay homage to you, the unsurpassable provider of freedom from fear. I pay homage to you, a loving friend of being who benefits others. I pay homage to you, who possesses the power of truth and the 10 strengths. I pay homage to you, who are equal to the unequal Tathagatas. I pay homage to you, the Lord, who has the highest compassion. I pay homage to you, the hero who has subjugated the 4 enemies. I pay homage to you, who know the benefits of sublime diligence. I pay homage to you, the Lord, who has the supreme Dharmakaya. I will always go for refuge to you, Lord, the Jina who is the sun shining in the center of the vast sky of wisdom, dispelling darkness with the light of love and compassion, and who is the teacher of the extremely profound Dharma of the ultimate truth." When the youth Chandraprabha had recited these appropriate verses of praise to the Bhagavan, he said to him, "Bhagavan, so that you may show me your compassion, I pray that you, with your Sangha of Bodhisattvas and Sangha of Buddha bhikshus, will assent to eat your meal tomorrow at my home. I pray to the Lord of men and your sons that you eat a pure meal at my home. Lord of sages, in order to show me your compassion, chief of Devas, give your assent." The Bhagavan, because of his compassion, by remaining silent, assented to eat a meal together with his Sangha of Bodhisattvas and Sangha of Bhikshus at the home of the youth Kandraprabha. The youth Kandraprabha, knowing that the Bhagavan had assented by his silence, rose from his seat, removed his robe from one shoulder, bowed his head to the Bhagavan's feet, circumambulated the Bhagavan 3 times, and departed from the Bhagavan's presence. The youth Kandraprabha then went down from Vulture Peak Mountain, and at that time he perfectly adorned the entire road in between Vulture Peak Mountain and the great city of Rajagra. As an offering to the Bhagavan, he cleared a great wide roadway so that it was free of grass, tree stumps, thorns, stones, pebbles, and gravel, and spread pure sand over it, so that it was soft and pleasant to the touch as down, and made a pleasant sound. He covered it with flowers from all seasons, such as divine blue lotuses, red lotuses, night lotuses, white lotuses, water lilies, kachnar flowers, sambak jasmines, magnolias, begonias, star jasmines, sesame flowers, ironwood flowers, and asoka flowers. Parasols, banners, flags of victory, precious arches, and canopies were set up along the road. There were precious censers from which flowed the smoke of black agarwood. Arranged in different places were dancers and performers skilled in performing divine songs, dance, and music. Beautifully adorned men, women, boys, and girls were arranged holding panava drums, one-string lutes, flutes, mridanga drums, mukunda drums, and maraja drums. On both sides of the road tall palm trees were adorned with various divine jewels, and a jingling network of bells made from Jambu River gold. There were many 100,000 quintillions of pillars made of precious materials, and different kinds of trees of various heights and thicknesses, made from the 7 jewels, and on which were arranged the leaves, flowers, and fruits of all seasons. The road was excellently adorned in various ways. Canopies, parasols, and flags were erected. The sound of music was perfectly played, and similarly there was the beautiful sound of songs. That perfect road was excellently adorned by many women performing dances, many millions of various excellent cloths, and beautiful, excellent garlands of flowers. The Buddha, the moon of sages, the compassionate one, is coming to this pure, excellent city. On hearing that, young Kandraprabha, with great faith, perfectly adorned a great, vast road. He spread out pure, divine sand, and scattered perfect, beautiful flowers. He also set up precious pillars, and made the road as beautiful as a divine city. Young Kandraprabha, with immense joy, perfectly adorned the road in various ways. Devas, Asuras, and Nagas, upon seeing it, were astonished, and cried out, "Ha, ha, ha!" To the left and the right of the road were there placed tall, excellent, round palm trees made of Jambu River gold, decorated and beautified by a network of numerous jingling, precious bells. Similarly arranged were millions of precious trees, adorned by blossom flowers of all seasons, which were beautiful adornments for that vast road, like a blissful park in the Deva realms. Pillars that were made from precious materials, with beautiful strings of beads that shone like light, an indescribable sight, huge and vast, were set up and arranged on the left and right of the road. The Buddha, the Lord of the 3 worlds, traveled on that road to the capital city. That great road was adorned in that way, so that it was beautiful in every way. On the right and left, precious censers were hung. They were filled with black agarwood. From all the censers there formed a cloud of smoke, with divine pleasant aromas of various kinds. The youth Kandraprabha, for the sake of the Jina, arranged vast, incalculable ornaments of divine materials, from the entrance to the water well of the city, up to the king of mountains, Gradrakuta. Young Kandraprabha adorned the road with many different precious arrangements. Then young Kandraprabha descended from Vulture Peak and went to the great city of Rajagra, to his tall, vast, great, divine home. He reached there, and he entered his home. He spent that night preparing a great amount of excellent, delicious food and drink, and creating food that had 100 flavors. Then he sprinkled well the ground in the great city of Rajagriha, and swept it clean, scattered flower petals, perfumed it with incense, put up canopies, hung ribbons and wreaths of silk, and set up parasols, banners, and flags. In that way he made the main road of Rajagriha up to the town free of stones, pebbles, and gravel, scattered it with various flowers, and sprinkled it with sandalwood powder. He adorned the windows, porticos, doors, roofs, lattices, and the crescent moons, and perfumed them with sandalwood. In that way he adorned the city of Rajagriha with countless displays, and adorned his own house too with a variety of many adornments. He hung it with many precious strings of beads. He adorned it with the raiment of the Tusita deities, and also beautified the grounds. He had many kinds of garlands and wreaths put up as adornments. He arranged 100,000 precious seats. In order to make offerings to the Bhagavan, he placed in their center a lion throne of divine materials that surpassed the work of devas and humans. In the 4 directions he hung censers made of various precious metals, from which flowed the smoke of black agar wood. In that way the youth Khandra Prabha arranged his excellent home, so that for the enjoyment of the Bhagavan there was the sound of divine songs, performances, and music. Pure parasols and banners were erected. An audience of 100,000 devas, nagas, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, maharagas, humans and non-humans thronged it, and it was filled with many various kinds of precious flowers. Khandra perfectly extensively adorned his vast and excellent home. In the center he placed a lion throne of divine materials, where the lamp of the world would sit. He perfectly set out countless millions of extremely precious, beautiful seats, where the Sangha of the lamp of the world, the Lord of Jinas, would sit. Censers made of all kinds of precious metals, completely filled with agar wood, were hung in all directions, and from them a beautiful aroma spread. Khandra in order to attain the 10 strengths, spread throughout the entire excellent grounds of the house various kinds of beautiful, precious flowers, a multitude of excellent aromatic flowers. The sound of dancers, singers, and of music filled the entire excellent house with sound. He also erected parasols and banners, so that the house was intensely beautiful, like that of a deity. The vast excellent home of the youth Khandra was adorned by a multitude of young people. It was filled with many nagas, yakshas, and asuras, and was gazed upon by many hundreds of devas. The young man Khandra having adorned the great city of Rajagriha, and having perfectly beautified his own home, after the night was over, in the early morning, departed, accompanied by the music of hundreds of various kinds of instruments, with many millions of parasols, banners, and flags held high, and with an encircling vanguard of a great assembly of 8 million quintillion bodhisattvas, their cupped hands filled with divine coral tree flowers. Among them were bodhisattvas with 1 life remaining, such as Avalokitesvara, Mahatamaprapta, Gandhahasti, Ratnaketu, Dundubhisvara, Durabhisambhava, Manjushri Kumurabhuta, Varusana, Subahu, Ratnakusama, Amoga Darsan, Maitreya, and others, accompanied by many adorned houses and elephants without riders that were being led along, with an assembly of countless people of the country, his own cupped hands filled with divine coral tree flowers, and they were accompanied by the enchanting, beautiful, harmonious sound of the laughter of the deities as they cried, "Oh, the Bodhisattva's great power, the Bodhisattva's great miracles, the Bodhisattva's great manifestations, the Bodhisattva's ah-la-la." He came out through the hot springs gateway of the great city of Rajagriha, and went toward Vulture Peak Mountain and to the Bhagavan. When he arrived, he bowed his head to the Bhagavan's feet, circumambulated the Bhagavan 3 times, sprinkled the divine coral tree flowers that filled his cupped hands over the Bhagavan, and went to sit down to one side. Maitreya and the other Bodhisattva Mahasattvas bowed their heads to the Bhagavan's feet, circumambulated the Bhagavan 3 times, sprinkled the divine coral tree flowers that filled their cupped hands over the Bhagavan, and also sat down to one side. Then the youth, who had sat to one side, rose from his seat, removed his robe from one shoulder, and, kneeling on his right knee, with palms placed together, bowed toward the Bhagavan, and said, "It is midday, Bhagavan, the time to eat." If the Bhagavan considers the time has come, then together with the Sangha of Bodhisattvas, the Sangha of Bhikshus, and the Devas, Nagas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Rishis, Garudas, Kinnaras, Maharajas, Kumbhandas, Pretas, Putanas, humans and non-humans who have great power, who are widely renowned for their great power and have great influence, come to the great city of Radharagra, as the time has come to eat the midday meal in my garden. Sugata, it is midday. I have adorned well the entire excellent city, and similarly, Lord, my garden. I have prepared and laid out divine food with 100 flavors. As it is midday, I pray to the Sugata to arise. Supreme Rishi, you who hold the qualities of the 10 strengths in your hands, encircled by the assembly of your sons, come to the city. I pray that you, the illuminating sun who dispels darkness, will arise. Bhagavan, the time has come for the midday meal in my garden. I pray that you come with your sons to my garden. You will benefit an assembly of many beings. Just as Dipankara granted a prophecy to you, grant me likewise a direct prophecy in this world. When I have heard that the prophecy is in this world, will also develop a vast and perfect aspiration, and all these beings will become Buddhas. There are no unworthy beings present here. Arise, arise, Lord, who has the 10 strengths. Benefit me and come to my garden. Just as you come to my garden, in that way I will go to the supreme tree of enlightenment. When I have gone to the foot of the supreme tree of enlightenment, I will remain there unshakable and unwavering. I will defeat with love the Maras and their claws, and just as you attained it, I too will attain enlightenment. Then the Bhagavan, who had known what the youth Kandraprabha would request, addressed these lines of verse to him. Arise, Kandraprabha, son of the Jinas. Arise, you who are joyful in generosity, you supreme being. Arise, you who have compassion and firm conduct. Let us go to the meal. Let us proceed to your home. After speaking these lines, the Bhagavan arose from his seat. He put on his lower robe, picked up the Dharma robe and alms bowl, and with the great Sangha of 100,000 bhikshus, accompanied by a multitude of Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, he proceeded. Many hundreds of thousands of Devas, Nagas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Rishis, Garudas, Kinnaras, Maharajas, Kumbhandas, Pretas, Putanas, humans and non-humans made offerings to him and praised him. Through his great Buddha powers, his great Buddha miracles, his great Buddha manifestations, and his Buddha conduct, he radiated many quintillions of light rays. He emanated flocks of melodious, soft, and beautiful birds of many different shapes and colors, such as geese, cranes, ruddy shelducks, swans, partridges, peacocks, rollers, parrots, minas, cuckoos, avadavats, and snipe, so that, like devas in the sky, each with its own song, they emitted the sound of music. The Yaksha lords Sarupa, Indraketu, Vikata, Bakula, Panchita, Sakyavardhana, and many quintillions of Yaksha lords holding pestles with both hands, offered many quintillions of huge, vast censers made of various divine precious materials, with handles of beryl, sapphire, crystal, and white coral, filled with Uragasara sandalwood, Gosirsa sandalwood, vetiver, yellow sandalwood, Malaya sandalwood, red sandalwood, agarwood, and so on, from which the smoke flowed. There were the superior kings of great power, renowned as having great power from their own regions, accompanied by many divisions of perfectly adorned horses and elephants being led without their riders, chariots and infantry, in lines marching in front, holding in their hands many streamers and precious garlands. The horses and elephants, even though they were being led along without riders, were proceeding magnificently and emitting beautiful cries. The Bhagavan was accompanied on his right-hand side by Brahma, who was making offerings to him and attending upon him, and on his left-hand side by Sakra, lord of the Devas, and by countless Devas with great power, who were renowned for their great power, who were mighty and illustrious, and whose bodies were adorned by excellent divine crowns, ornamented anklets, earrings, bracelets, flowers on their ears, bejeweled necklaces, and flower garlands. Their forms were made visible, and they were holding coral tree flowers, asters, orchids, hibiscus, amaranths, magnolias, carnicara flowers, ashoka flowers, begonias, kachnar flowers, blue lotuses, medlar flowers, sambak jasmine, star jasmine, ironwood flowers, red lotuses, night lotuses, white lotuses, water lilies, precious garlands, precious agarwood, and precious fruit. They were playing hundreds of thousands of different kinds of musical instruments, waving millions of pieces of cloth, crying out, "Ha, ha, ha," and sending down a great rain of flowers. In order to make offerings to the Bhagavan, they filled the entire sky without leaving any space, and sent down a great rain of flowers, incense, garlands, perfumes, powders, and jewels. The Bhagavan entered at midday the great city of Rajagara through the hot springs gateway. The nature of this is described in these verses. The Tathagata Buddha, knowing it was time, that hero adorned with all qualities, who illuminates countless realms, the Bhagavan, the Lion of Men, set forth. Avalokitesvara, Mahatamasprata, and Amogha Darsan, Gandhahasti, Ratna Kusama, and Ratna Bahu, and Ratna Ketu, Durambidisvaha, Varisina, and others followed in the Jina's footsteps. On his right hand was Ajita, who was named Maitreka, who has the wealth of infinite qualities, who will become the following Buddha, and has completed the accumulation of merit and wisdom. He is one who has cultivated love, rejoicing, and equanimity. He is a great being of the Dharma who has developed compassion. He understands the infinite qualities, the qualities of the Lord of Sages. He followed behind the compassionate Sagata, and was followed by those who will be, those with great realization in the good Eon, the 1,000 Buddhas less 4, who were preceded by Maitreya, and also he who in the past in the city of Rajagara, while born in divine bodies that were like beautiful moonlight, made infinite offerings to Jinas throughout aeons. That hero, Kandraprabha, was also present at the front. To the left of the one with supreme compassion was Manjushri, along with many thousands of millions of heroes who have sublime qualities of miraculous powers, who traveled to endless hundreds of realms. Following him were those in the Sraka Sangha, Sarasutta, Maldgolyayana, Kala, Kasyapa, Subhuti, Nanda, and Kapina, Bhadrakaraja, and similarly Kondinya, Ananda, and similarly Svavira Rahula, and Svagata, Kankita, Purna, Udayan, Ravata, Kostila, Upali, and Aniruddha. A full 9,000 of those with matted hair followed behind the Sraka Sangha. They were all mighty ascetics who knew the Vedas and the rituals, and had mastered curses, renunciation, and beneficial incantations. Self-controlled rishis with peaceful minds, with disciplined minds, bowing their palms together, followed behind the Buddha, the lamp of the world, the lion of men endowed with compassion. The liberator of thousands of beings as he proceeded, like the completely pure lord of the host of stars, the full moon of the last month of autumn, the teacher who was without equal was encircled by many 100,000s of Brahmas as he stepped on the threshold of the city's gateway. The earth and its thick forests shook. The Devas, Asuras, and Maharajas scattered excellent flowers and supreme incense. The moment the Bhagavan placed his right foot, adorned by a precious wheel from the accumulation of countless roots of merit, upon the threshold of the gate, this universe of 1,000 million worlds shook in 6 ways. It trembled strongly and trembled intensely. It quivered strongly and quivered intensely. It shook strongly and shook intensely. It shuddered strongly and shuddered intensely. It quaked strongly and quaked intensely. The east sank and the west rose. The west sank and the east rose. The north sank and the south rose. The south sank and the north rose. The perimeter sank and the center rose. And the center sank and the perimeter rose. A great radiance shone in the world, and countless, numberless other amazing, wonderful, miraculous manifestations appeared. The nature of this is described in these verses. When the guide came to that supreme city, and placed his supreme foot upon the gateway's threshold, that magnificence caused this earth to shake, and the beings in the supreme city were overjoyed. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, the people who were hungry and thirsty at that time became free of the need to eat or drink. They became free of hunger and thirst. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, all those people who were blind, deaf, and had no protector and little merit were able to see and hear. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, all the pretas in the realm of Yama, suffering greatly and eating snot and spit, were touched by light and became happy. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, the supreme trees, the sal and the karnikara, at the summit of crags and on mountain tops, they all bowed toward the Buddha. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, the entire ground shook in 6 ways, throughout the villages and towns as far as the ocean, without causing harm to anyone. Devas, humans, Kumbhandas, and Rakshasas, wherever beings lived, there was happiness and joy. They developed faith in supreme, sublime enlightenment, and held a parasol for the guide of the world. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, thousands of musical instruments sounded without being played. Hearing the beautiful sound of music, all beings were filled with joy. Hundreds of thousands of trees bowed down, and all flowers blossomed at that time. Hundreds of thousands of devas in the sky made non-human offerings to the Jina. When the Jina placed his foot on the gateway's threshold, hundreds of bulls lowed with joy. The kings of horses and elephants raised their bodies. The lions, the kings of animals, roared. The kings, the rulers, however many there were, came from the cardinal and intermediate directions. When they saw the glorious majesty of the Jina, with minds filled with joy they bowed to him. Some praised the Lord of the world. Some scattered a rain of flowers on the Jina. Some placed their 10 fingers together in homage, and they cried, "O the Jina, the compassionate one." Some scattered excellent strings of pearls, and various ornaments that give rise to joy, and some scattered clothing and jewels. They developed the supreme, unequaled aspiration to enlightenment. Some scattered excellent meshes of gold. Some also scattered mukha pholaka ornaments. Some scattered excellent ornaments of gold, and some likewise scattered anklets. Some scattered excellent bracelets. Some scattered armlets inset with jewels, and some aspired to enlightenment, scattering excellent pieces of cloth, saying, "May we become Buddhas." When the Lord of the world stood in the gateway, some people scattered golden necklaces. Some with minds filled with faith scattered excellent crest jewels. Some scattered networks of jewels. Those beings who were in extreme suffering, tormented by many kinds of miseries, all attained happiness through the majesty of the guide, the supreme human. Cuckoos, minas, and peacocks, and similarly cranes and other water birds, all the flocks of birds were in the sky, emitting their beautiful, perfect songs. Desire, anger, and ignorance ceased in whoever heard the sweet, beautiful songs of those flocks of joyous birds. The millions of beings who heard that joyful sound all attained the patience that is concordant with the Dharma. The Tathagata gave them all this prophecy: "You will in the future become Buddhas." At that time the Kleshas did not arise, and everyone was respectful to the Dharma king. At that time, when they saw the form of the guide's body, they developed the aspiration for the supreme wisdom of Buddhahood. They wondered, when will we attain this kind of wisdom? And the Jina, knowing that, gave them their prophecies. From each pore of the Tathagata there shone hundreds of thousands of light rays, and more, as many as there are sands in the Ganges. It would not be possible to perceive all their attributes. At that time the sunlight did not shine, nor was there light from jewels, fire, or the devas. There was no other light at that time, when there was the splendor of the Buddha entering the city. With that great assembly the Tathagata proceeded on the path. Wherever the feet of the one with the 10 strengths trod, there appeared on the ground 100,000 lotuses that were pure and had 10,000 million petals. When the guide entered the supreme city, at that time there was no dirt or refuse. Throughout the entire city there arose the lovely aroma of the most fragrant incense. The entire city and its streets were purified. They had no stones or gravel, and were sprinkled with perfume, and bestrewn with the petals of various kinds of flowers. That is the kind of merit the one with 10 strengths had. When 100,000 yakshas with ferocious minds saw the Buddha, the Lord of men, who was like gold, they felt an immense love for the guide, and took refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. All of the 10 millions of devas who had come to see the Lord of men let fall a rain of flowers on the Tathagata. They scattered flowers while in the middle of the sky. The flowers scattered by humans for the Jina formed a parasol of flowers in the sky. The flowers scattered by the devas were strewn on the ground as divine flowers. The devas, humans, kumbhandas, and rakshasas never tired of gazing upon him. When they saw the Lord with the 10 strengths, they were overjoyed and felt the highest delight. When they saw the body of the Supreme Being, all beings were overjoyed and delighted. They did not even think of the divine flowers, which did not seem at all wonderful. Brahma, upon the right of the one with the 10 strengths, Sakra, the king of devas, on his left, and the many millions of deities in the middle of the sky, showed great veneration to the Supreme Being. Devas and Asuras encircled the Jina, who eclipsed all the majesty of devas and humans. With the soles of his feet making patterns on the ground, the invited Bhagavan entered into the city. His body was beautified by excellent primary signs, like the firmament filled with stars. The Buddha shone upon the king's road, like the full moon in the sky. Just as an excellent, pure, precious jewel that is free of all impurities shines, so that a pure light goes in all directions. In that way the Jina illuminated the entire world. Devas and Asuras encircled the Jina, the supreme human who entered Rajagra, with the soles of his feet leaving patterns on the ground. The Buddha came to the home of the youth Kandraprabha. The supreme city was perfectly adorned, Millions of banners had been erected. The entire ground was anointed with the best perfumes, and beautiful summer flowers were scattered. When the Sugata spoke to teach, with compassion for the people in the streets, the Jina manifested emanations that taught to them the excellent Dharma of the Buddha. The Jina manifested emanations. Bodies that were like gold were manifested. The Buddha, the Jina, through his emanations, remained in emptiness, peace, the enlightenment of Buddhahood. When the hundreds of thousands of beings heard that, they prayed for the supreme wisdom of the Buddha, wondering, "When will I attain this kind of wisdom?" Knowing their thoughts, the Jina prophesied to them. There were those who aspired to attain that inconceivable supreme attainment. They had invited the Jina, the Lord of Men, and there was no limit to the offerings they made. There were those who developed an excellent aspiration, thinking, "I will tomorrow invite the Compassionate One, he who wishes to benefit beings, whom it is difficult to see in samsara." Some who were upon the roofs developed the sublime, supreme aspiration to enlightenment, and they scattered divine flowers on the handsome, beautifully adorned body of the one with the 10 strengths. Some developed the supreme, highest aspiration, and scattered garlands of magnolias, cachnar flowers, the scents of summer, and wreaths of silken ribbons. Some stood holding excellent flowers, their bodies perfectly beautified by their raiment. They held various flowers and wreaths of silk, that they cast in the direction of the Jina with great power. Some scattered red lotuses, night lotuses, blue lotuses, and excellent golden flowers. Some scattered precious flowers, and some scattered sandalwood powder. When the guide entered the supreme city, the wonders that appeared were uncountable, unequaled, impossible to describe, and they brought many millions of beings to Buddha wisdom. Those in Avra, Atapa, who had seen the truth, the Devas of Sudrasa and Sudarsana, and those in Akansa, who are free of desire, they all came to see the Lord of humans. Similarly, countless Parita Subha Devas, Apramana Subha Devas, filled with joy, and countless millions of Subha Kirtna Devas came to see the guide, the great Rishi. Countless Apranabhava Devas, and similarly the Paritva Devas, and countless millions of Abhasvara Devas came to see the Lord of the world. Many hundreds of thousands of Brahma's entourage, and similarly the faithful Brahma Purohita Devas, and many hundreds of Brahma Kayika Devas, all came to see the guide. Also the Parinirmita Vasarvartin Devas, and the pure beings who dwell in Nirmananardatin, and the joyful Devas of Tusita and Yama, all came to pay homage to the Buddha. Sakra, king of the Devas, and the Traya Srimsa Devas came with hundreds of millions of Apsarasis, and they sent down a rain of flowers, having come to see the Buddha, the Lord of Sages. Also the world guardians of the 4 directions, Vaisarvana, Dhartarashtra, the Naga king, Virudaka, and Virupaksa, their minds filled with joy, all came in order to praise the Lord of Men. Ailavila, the powerful king of the Yakshas, with a delighted mind and encircled by 100 Yakshas, was in the middle of the sky, and joyfully they sent down a rain of numerous various flowers. Also the Sadamata, the Maladara Devas, holding various kinds of incense and flowers, with their retinues, all joyful, made offerings there to the Supreme Individual. Also numerous Karotapani Yakshas and adorned Yaksha maidens made offerings to the Buddha, with hundreds of compositions of the beautiful melodious music of the Yakshas. Druma, the king of the Kinnaras, with thousands of Kinnara maidens skilled in sweet and melodious songs and music, arrived from Gandhamadana to make offerings to the supreme Jina. Sambara, Bala, Vimasitra, and Rahu, together with an entourage of thousands of Asura maidens, and together with crowds of other powerful Asuras, came and sent down a rain of jewels. From countless trillions of Rakshasas, 1,000 million Rakshasas honored him. They respectfully scattered a multitude of various flower petals upon the supreme individual. The Naga king, Girivalgu, with a great entourage, came before the Tathagata, holding great numbers of perfect precious flowers, and bowed down at the Sagata's feet. The Naga lords Pradma and Mahapadma, and also Vasuki, Ananta, and Prafanaka, came before the great leader, and respectfully bowed to the Sagata. The Naga king Mani, filled with joy, came before the feet of the great leader, holding fragrant, perfect Naga flowers, and sat before the Sagata at no great distance. Also the Naga king Anavatapa, with perfectly trained Naga maidens, playing 100,000 musical instruments and drums, came and made offerings there to the Lord of the world. The 500 sons of Anavatapa, encircled by their kindred and filled with joy, seeking the highest vast wisdom, came to make offerings to the self-arisen one. Similarly, the Naga king Apalala, palms together, bowed to the supreme individual. Holding beautiful, excellent Naga pearls, he remained in the sky, making offerings to the king of sages. Similarly, the Naga king Musalinda, with great happiness and filled with joy, holding various jewels and pearls, came and scattered them for the guide. Similarly, the Naga king Kalika came before the Tathagata, joyful and holding perfect, beautiful strings of jewels. He made offerings to the supreme individual. He felt great veneration as he thought of the qualities of the Tathagata. Encircled by his many Naga kindred, he recited many praises of the guide. Similarly, the Naga kings Nanda and Upananda, similarly also Taksaka and Krishna Gautama, came there gazing upon the Jina, and bowed down to the Sagata's feet. The Naga king Elapatra came weeping, encircled by 100 Nagas. He remembered the supreme sage, Jina Kasyapa, and saw what an unfavorable rebirth he himself had obtained. Alas, I had doubts in the past. In the past I cut down an Elapatra bush, and therefore I obtained this unfavorable rebirth. It is not easy to know the Dharma of the Jina. I forsake this rebirth into a Nagi's womb, and this birth in an extremely detestable body. I will realize the Dharma of the state of peace that the best of men realized in the Bodhimanda. Sagara, the Naga Chakravatin king, accompanied by an entourage of 30 million Nagas, and the majestic Varuna holding necklaces of jewels, came in order to make offerings to the Bhagavan. The Yaksha of Rajagra, who caught, while he was in the sky, the rock throne of the Buddha, was respectfully present before the Sagata. The entire domain of the king of Alakavati became empty, with no Yaksha remaining there. They had all promised each other to come and see the Lord of the world. In the same way, Karakarna and Sucharama, the terrifying Yakshas of the forests, and the Yaksha Gardabaka, who lives in the snow mountains, had come into the presence of the self-arisen Jina. Indraketu, Vikata, and Surupa, Bakala, Pansika, and Sakyavardhana, and 1,000 other Yaksha lords came holding censers of incense. Many with ugly, misshapen bodies, many kinds of bodies destitute of adornment, in their hundreds of thousands, came into his presence holding Yaksha flowers. Gautama, Rishi Braspati, and Janu, Kasika, Kasyapa, and Markandeya, Visvamitra, Parasara, and Garga, they all came to pay homage to the Buddha. And similarly, there were the joyous and enraptured Narada, and the rishis Vaisa, Kutsa, and Agiras, and Manu, Bhrigu, Vatsyayana, and Vaisitha, who came to pay homage to the Buddha. Jaimini, Vamana, and Vaisamyapanayana, Jama Gandhi, and Supreme Rishi Valmiki, Durvasa, and also Chiavana came to the Supreme City to see the guide. When they saw the rishis were overjoyed, and they bowed down to the feet of the king of sages. They paid homage to the lamp of the world and praised him, standing before the hero with palms pressed together. The entire multitude of rishis in the world came in order to see the Lord of men. When they saw him, they made vast offerings, and stood before him with palms placed together. The Garudas that live at the ocean's shore came, having transformed into the appearance of Brahmins, holding various beautiful kinds of crowns, and positioned in the sky, they paid homage to the Sagata. All of the devas that dwell in Jambudvipa, whether in hundreds of towns or its forests, and all the goddesses of the towns, came and made offerings to the Lord. The countless devas of the forests, and all the mountain devas came, and all the countless devas of rivers, arrived to make offerings to the guide. The hundreds of devas of desert wilderness, all the devas of mountain peaks, the devas of lakes, springs, and ponds, and the devas of the ocean came into the Buddha's presence. Assemblies of devas, asuras, nagas, yakshas, kinnaras, maharagas, and garudas, and similarly a multitude of pretas and putanas, showed their respect to the Supreme Being. They made offerings to the Supreme Jina. When the guide entered the Supreme City, the kings of the devas, asuras, nagas, and yakshas could not get their fill of looking at him. In previous existences, the Lord of the world had made perfect offerings to the jinas of the past. This was the ripened result of that merit. The beings could not stop looking at the Lord of humans. When the jina shone light through the Buddha realm, Meru, and similarly Sumeru, and Kakravala, and Himagiri, and Gandhamadana could not obscure the jina's light. All of the oceans in this Buddha realm, at that time all became land, and the entirety of this Buddha realm became equally scattered with flowers. Countless hundreds of thousands of light rays came from the soul of the king of Dharma's feet. All the beings in the hells were cooled, and, freed from suffering, experienced happiness. The one with the 10 strengths taught the Dharma, so that the sight of devas and humans was purified. Countless hundreds of thousands of beings all gained certainty in the Buddha's wisdom. The numerous miracles manifested by the Sagata could not easily be described in 10 million aeons. When the guide entered the Supreme City, all beings rejoiced at the Jina, the Sagata. These qualities of the Sagata are immeasurable. They are the supreme human's perfection of qualities. They have transcended all unique qualities. Bow your heads to the realm of the Buddha's merit. Conclusion of the 10th chapter. The entry into the city.